Sean Hyton on pole position for the third race of the weekend here at Brands Hatch, and with him at the front of the grid, Ryan Ratcliffe. Now, he's made some great starts this weekend, and now that he's on the front of the grid, it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets off the line. He could well be a race winner this time out. Will Burns has gone very strongly this weekend, the former Castle Combe saloon car front runner in the HHC Motorsport car, lining up third on the grid, and Stuart Pearson alongside him for this weekend, switching to Reflex Racing, having run the car himself previously. 15 minutes in prospect, drivers look towards the lights, which go red. Away they go. Another great start by Ratcliffe, but then he bogs down a bit going up through the gears. Good start also by Mark Warner in the best place of the G20s as the cars work their way now into paddock for the first time. Sean Hyton leads on the inside. It's Hyton up front then as they work their way through paddock and go up towards Druids. Gary Sims, who was in the gravel after contact in yesterday's race, has got work to do. But the man that won at Rockingham should be one to watch here as the cars come through Druids for the first time. Hyton leads Ratcliffe, Burns is third, Pearson is fourth, and right up alongside him is Clive Richards as they head to Graham Hill Bend for the first time. Mark Warner way up the order in the G20 leading car, battling with Andy O'Brien and Ben Constantiouris at the moment as they head along Cooper Straight for the first time. Challenge made on the inside by Mike Robinson with work to do to get past his teammate, first of all, Graham Johnson. He's got the inside line and Mike Robinson goes through. On board with Gary Sims, working his way up from a fair way back on the grid. He started 18th, he's on the 9th row of the grid, and now trying to work his way into contention as the race leaders storm their way down towards Hawthorns for the first time. Mike Robinson goes through, Graham Johnson busy defending, and there's Brad Bailey and Gary Sims, the pair of them from the 9th row trying to work together, and that's Thiago Calvert, way wide over the grass, he's lost it. Cars scatter in avoidance, and Calvert ends up in the barrier. Damage yesterday, hence the car having a completely new front panel, different colour scheme from the rest of it, and the man who does a 10,000 mile trip for every championship weekend is not having a happy visit to Brands Hatch. The Brazilian looks like he's out of the race as Ben Constantiouris in 45, the green and white and black car, is right on the tail of Graham Johnson. Ben had a good run in the second race yesterday, and he's on the inside. Is he coming down towards Clark Curve? He thinks about it, but he loses out because Andy O'Brien in the similarly liveried car goes round the outside. Here's a replay of Calvert's moment. Runs out of road at Hawthorns, he's on the grass, he keeps his foot in, back overtakes front, comes across the road. Everybody manages to miss him. And then, with everything locked up, he skates backwards and crunch into the Armco. It's not done too much damage, but it looks like Calvert is not getting going after that. Andy O'Brien versus Ben Constantiouris, then nose to tail up towards paddock. Constantiouris, who used to be the lap record holder here in a smart car of all things, is right on the tail of the reigning Irish Ginetta Junior champion O'Brien, and they're being caught by Gary Sims, hard at work here. Brad Bailey ahead of him, trying to gain places up on the inside of Druids. JJ O'Malley, I think it is, in that mix. We've also got Mark Warner's G20 that's going to get swamped in a moment by the quicker G40s. And contact ahead, a clash, and Brad Bailey gets nerfed off. He gets all sideways. He's going to rejoin from that. But there was a clash between the two of them, and it's Bailey who came off worse as we're on board now with Ryan Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe runs second. That's Sean Hyton just up the road, the race leader. Ratcliffe trying to benefit from a tow here and get himself onto the back of the leading car. Will Burns third, going very well indeed. Their fourth is Stuart Pearson, and this is his best showing of the season to date in a G40. Clive Richards is fifth, and Mike Robinson, looking a bit ominous now, is in sixth place and working his way onto the tail of the leaders. David Barker is in the pits. He was in the gravel yesterday. He's in the pit lane now, and lots of sticky tape needed to keep the front bodywork stuck to the car. How did it all happen? This is the answer. Contact at Surtees on the first lap. Slides off the road, and having ripped the front right up, the air gets under it and pulls the left side across as well. Hyton leads the way. Ryan Ratcliffe second as they work their way out of Stirling's and head down once again towards Clark Curve. You're on board with Ratcliffe now. He's not staying close enough to Sean Hyton, nor for that matter is he being caught yet by Will Burns. The battle is on for fourth. Stuart Pearson ahead of Clive Richards, and then in sixth spot as they come up towards the line is Mike Robinson. JJ O'Malley there, the Leeds-based builder, keeping Mark Warner behind him as they work their way out of Clark Curve. You've also got Rick Parfitt in the mix. Parfitt qualified yesterday morning, then dashed up to Manchester with his band to perform, and has come back for just the one race today. That's commitment for you. Clive Richards fending off Mike Robinson, coming through Druids. Now you can see that Will Burns has dropped back into their clutches, and that is Brian Murphy getting it all wrong at paddock. Skips and jumps his way across the grass, sorts himself out, and carries on in the race. You're on board with the Piranha Motorsport run car of Ryan Ratcliffe, and he's dropping away from the leader. The one to watch, though, now is the man sixth, Mike Robinson, in the blue and black car, because that really is the other main threat to Sean Hyton as far as the championship is concerned. And Mike Robinson here having to work his way up the order. Started 8th on the grid. That's where he finished yesterday after the red flagged second race. But he's not been able to work his way through the traffic all that easily. Now he has to go to get past Clive Richards. He's alongside him. He's passed him. Mike Robinson goes through on the way up now towards Sheen Curve and then in towards Stirling's. And having finally managed to work his way into this gaggle of cars, there should be a few more places for Mike Robinson to pick off before the end. But can he do anything about Sean Hyton? Here's a replay of drama coming down towards Graham Hill Bend, and that was the bit of contact between, in fact, Lee Mole and Brad Bailey, not JJ O'Malley. It was the other yellow peril, and Lee Mole bangs off the side of Brad Bailey, who rejoins, graduate from the Ginetta Junior Championship. And then coming through Paddock Hill Bend, Ben Constanduras running over the curb, but not as wide as Andy O'Brien had run, and O'Brien therefore gets himself on the outside line going into Druids, and Ben Constanduras nips up the inside and gains the place. O'Brien having a look back on the inside at Graham Hill Bend, then hangs on to it, keeps him at bay. As ever, great racing all the way through the order, and these two not falling away from Graham Johnson, but Clive Richards has fallen off the road completely. Richards spins at Surtees, you don't often see that, and I wonder whether it's mechanical drama that's pitched him into that. He's not exactly charging to get back into the race. Clive Richards is heading for the pit lane. He's out of the race here at Brands Hatch. Man in the black car is Sean Hyton, and he is the race leader. Second, Ryan Ratcliffe under real pressure from Will Burns, and that is Ben Constanduras going off in a big, big way. Whacked the Armco. That has done that car a power of no good, and Ben was working his way nicely up the order. Clive Richards is in the pits as well with the drama. Before the break, we saw him have a spin at Surtees. You can see there's steam and smoke, possibly liquid as well, coming out of the front of the car. So it's all kicking off at Brands. Back marker, David Barker, number 20, needs to get out of the way here as Ratcliffe comes through second, third and fourth, and nose to tail. Will Burns just ahead there of Mike Robinson as they head up towards Paddock. Robinson to the inside line, should go through. He does go through. 8th on the grid, Mike Robinson, winner at Rockingham of 2 races, now working his way through to the front, although Burns on his birthday fights back, coming up towards Druids. Out of the hairpin, down they come towards Graham Hill Bend. This is the new crab-like Ginetta G40, modelled by Ben Constanduras, who is not terribly impressed with what he's just done, and he's not going to be very impressed with the repair bill, I fear, at the end of all of this as well. So he will slowly make his way back to the pit lane and into retirement. That's Clive Richards' car, and that too looks like it is going no further. Clive takes off his crash helmet, and that is the end. It's not a happy season, this, for Clive Richards. The pace is just about there, but the luck is not with him. Once again, he's a retirement then, and he dropped down to the first race of the weekend as well. Hyton leads Ratcliffe. Third is Robinson. So Clive Richards departs the scene. Brian Ratcliffe second with joint third look. Mike Robinson and Will Burns, and Robinson goes through. Retakes third place coming out of Druids. Next target is the Welshman Ratcliffe as they head down towards Graham Hill Bend. Now it's game on for second place, isn't it? Ratcliffe, Robinson, Burns and Stuart Pearson next in the queue. Squeal of tyres heralds the arrival of Rick Parfitt. The musician gets himself back more or less in the right direction. I'm afraid he's not conducting himself very well at Druids. 2 spins now. Try again. This time he finds first gear. He's on the black bit. He sets off with all the traction he needs. Robinson dives to the inside at Hawthorns for second place as he goes through. He's still level with Ratcliffe, who gets forced up onto the curb on the outside line there. Now towards Westfield. Robinson should get the place. He does on the inside. This is Ratcliffe's view. He's gone wide onto the grass. That's going to delay him a bit. Burns goes through as well. So Ratcliffe goes down to 4th. Now 5th. Stuart Pearson, the reigning G20 champion, is past him as well. So Mike Robinson worked his way up into second place. Can he do anything about the race leader, Sean Hyton? I fear that in this 15-minute race, there just is not enough time left. Ratcliffe trying to fight back as well, grabs a gear, then down through the box as they come into Clark Kerr. Stuart Pearson ahead of him. Ex-motorcycle racer Stuart Pearson, he's the former XR Challenge champion. G20 champion last year, knows what to do in a race car. And Ryan Ratcliffe, one of a number of drivers who stepped out of Ginetta Juniors at retirement age into the senior category. He goes to the inside and he retakes the place at Paddock. Easily through on the inside. Ryan Ratcliffe takes 4th position then. Mike Robinson there is second. Can he do anything about Sean Hyton, the race leader? Hyton's already done the fastest lap of the race. He's got the speed, he's got a clear circuit in front and around him. It's all looking good for Sean Hyton. This is how Ratcliffe, though, got himself back into 4th place coming over the line. Into 6th, finds a gap on the inside, drops it down to 4th, brakes, sets the car up, turns into Paddock, fights it a little bit. back on the power, place done. Andy O'Brien versus Gary Sims here. Both cars looking a bit battle-scarred. Gary Sims right on the back of Andy O'Brien as they come down towards Graham Hill Bend. The Lease Drive car goes left now through Graham Hill Bend. Car run by Optimum Motorsport, one of the top teams, but the guys had a busy time last night. The car started race 2 from the pit lane after a bit of oil spill out of the catch tank and the diff, and then also it ended up after contact in the gravel. So they had all sorts of dramas to sort out. Gary Sims rising to the challenge here, working his way up the order as Mark Warnier is looking very good again in the G20s. Now he's got Thiago Calvert behind him. Calvert has rejoined after his spin on the first lap, as now Sims goes to the outside of O'Brien, going down towards Hawthorns. Can he go all the way around the outside? Yes, he can. Great stuff. Really brave effort, that. Was there a bit of contact? A bit of correction needed, but either way, Gary Sims is ahead. The car wants to get sideways on him, but he corrects it. And that's really, really brave stuff right around the outside of Hawthorns. Very fast part of the circuit. Sims gains ground. This, though, is the man that leads the way. And Sean Hyton is looking as though a victory is going to go his way. He's had 4 already this year. Lower down the order, there's Thiago Calvert, still trying to get himself up past former Caterham racer Neil Dallagy. Thiago Calvert, ex-Formula Palmer Audi racer, Brazilian stock car racer. Somebody who, as I say, commutes 10,000 miles a round trip per championship weekend. He runs a travel agency as his business, and you put all those factors together, and bear in mind that he has a fear of flying, you kind of wonder whether he's doing the right thing. Will Burns, out of Druids. He's on the back of Mike Robinson, and this, the best we've seen out of Burns all year. He's developing nicely within the championship, and although Mike Robinson is one of the regular front runners, Will Burns just will not go away. Ryan Ratcliffe fourth as Calvert in the yellow fronted car gets past Neil Dallagy coming into Clark Curve. Dallagy back in racing after a long layoff. He's been away for something like 17 seasons, but it's good to have him back and going as strongly as ever, as now you ride once again with Ryan Ratcliffe. And having gone so well early on in the race, now he's just dropping away from that leading group, rather. Sean Hyton, though, is the man to beat in the G40 class. How many more laps can he squeeze out of 15 minutes? There might well be one more that he can get into the race as he comes now through Clark Curve. It's another car run by Academy Motorsport, and Sean Hyton is going to score seemingly another victory, and this will set him up nicely within the championship. He took 3 victories at Alton Park. He's taken 1 here this weekend in the red flagged race yesterday. In the meantime, you've got coming down through Clark Curve, Stuart Pearson versus Graham Johnson. These two are together. This is the battle for 4th, and Gary Sims here, 6th behind them. And if they carry on scrapping like that, Gary's going to be right up with them. Over the line he goes. Johnson looks for the inside line, heading up towards paddock. Sims brakes late, and he's almost there, going into the corner. Johnson through on the inside, that bags him 4th. And Gary Sims thunders out of the corner right on the tail of Stuart Pearson, lines up to have a go on the inside, going into Druids. He's level, he's on the inside line. Sims through on the inside, he's done it, he's got 5th now. He started 18th, he's now 5th. Great recovery by Gary Sims as Thiago Calvert's troubled race ends in the pit lane. The Brazilian, I think, is going to go no further than that. Graham Johnson might lose another spot here, because Gary Sims is right up with him as they head up towards Stirling's. Gary tries the outside line. That'll be brave if he can make that one work. He can't do it, and Sean Hyton heads towards the checkered flag, and victory at Brands Hatch. Sean Hyton wins for the 5th time this year. 2nd across the line is Mike Robinson. Will Burns is 3rd, and Ryan Ratcliffe comes home 4th in a race that promised a bit more than that early on, but it wasn't to be. Graham Johnson 5th, and Gary Sims has lost a length or 2 on the last lap, but he's going to come through for 6th. Bit of bodywork in the road behind them. Sims is 6th, and right with him then was Stuart Pearson. The two of them crossing the line almost as one as they take the checkered flag. And still there are cars to come home, including their Rick Parfitt after his spin. Rick's sole race out of the 3 of the weekend. He avoids that bodywork line in the road as well, but he's on target for 12th place here. Rick Parfitt at the back of this queue, just ahead of him. He's going to be Lee Mole and JJ O'Malley, and Mark Warnier will be the victor in the G20s. He comes through Clark Curve way clear of the class opposition. He comes through Clark Curve. It's a shame there aren't a few more against him, but he's seen off his main rival, Matt Flowers, who's not had a great weekend here at Brands Hatch. So Mark Warnier wins the G20 battle. And this, a replay of Ryan Ratcliffe on the last corner of the last lap, running wide. It was his bodywork that ripped off and sat on the ground. And that's also why he was a rather more distant 4th. Well, Sean Hyton it is who wins yet again. Mike Robinson 2nd, and Will Burns on his birthday on the podium.